All right, ladies and gents, let me turn this music down, off, whatever. Ooh, I just noticed I need to add something to my stream. I'm a bad streamer, bad streamer. Let me see, what do I need here? I need my chat. There's my chat, there's my chat. Let's go ahead and add this in here. There we go, I think I got the chat about size, just about right. There we go. That should be it. Alrighty, there we go. Now we got some chat on the screen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am GeoQuester Jeff or JP, whatever you want to call me. That's what my name is. Okay, we're here today to talk about The Grim and the Wicked. The Grim and the Wicked is a virtual box set, which is in PDF form or in Fantasy Grounds module format. There's also, for a limited time and only exclusive to the Kickstarter, a print edition for this box set. It is a total of 4 books, 164 pages each, so we're talking over 600 pages of total content, 2 decks of cards, and the encounter tracker, plus any add-ons and extra goals or anything that we reach for Twitter or Facebook or followers or whatever. We try to have as many stretch goals that we can possibly get. So I'm here today to answer questions. There's been a lot of questions. I get a lot of questions every day in my email asking me all sorts of things about, well, what's this? What's that? Can you tell me a little bit more? First things first, let me say that we have a beautiful, wonderful artist who is doing all of our covers. The covers are all done by a guy by the name of Storn Cook. He teaches at Cornell University. He teaches art at Cornell University here in New York State. So he's right up the road from me. He's about an hour and 15 minutes away from me. His sister actually lives, I think, just about 10, 20 minutes away from me. So, and he and I have been running in the circles together since way back when in the D20 days, the heyday of 3rd edition, when I first started becoming a published author. So why don't we go ahead and start in. By the way, okay, so the stuff that you see on the right hand side of your screen, those are our covers. Those are our mock-up covers that we have with Storn Cook's artwork in each one of those. The artwork you see on the right is by a guy by the name of Matt Forsyth, who we have licensed this artwork from as well. You'll be finding it in the books. And this gives you kind of an idea of the style of artwork that we're going for inside all of these. I'm going to try to answer all the questions that you have for me. Just go ahead and ask them right here in chat. I don't have a moderator today. I don't have anybody else helping me out with any of these things. It's just me, you, and the world today. So let's start off with a little bit about me. First of all, when you're a game designer, you're addicted to 3 things: no sleeping, caffeine, and some other substance. Who knows what it could be? It could be alcohol, it could be nicotine, it could be something else. My poison, and you'll see me on stream do this, I am a smoker. I will be having nicotine and caffeine. I have my coffee cup right here. Of course, my beautiful, wonderful Star Wars mug, full of all sorts of wonderful coffee. I will apologize now if you hear my kids or my wife in the background. It's about bedtime for our kids right now, so they're heading off to various locations. They're going to come in. You're going to see them come in looking for a kiss or something for the stream. It's bedtime. So I apologize now in advance. Now, a little bit more about me. Okay, so I'm the father of 4 kids that go anywhere from the ages of 9 to almost 19. Our oldest boy is nearly 19 years old. I'm married. I've been married now. This October will be 20 years that I've been married to the wonderful Mistress of Darkness herself, the Susie Q. And I've been a game designer since 2001. I have 22 published books to my name and 9 magazine articles published to my name. I've worked with Goodman Games, Wizards of the Coast, Sword and Sorcery Studios. I've worked with tons and tons and tons of people out there. I got my start with Thunderhead Games, which later became Mystic Eye Games, and I've just kind of gone from there. As far as adventure writing goes, I have written, out of those 22 books that I've written, more than half of them have been adventure modules of some length. Like I wrote the very first Dungeon Crawl Classics. I actually wrote 3 Dungeon Crawl Classics. I wrote, let's see here, Brief Expeditions to Bluffside, which is my very first one, which was 64 pages long. Drylands, let's see, Sands of Pain, which was also for Mystic Eye Games, Thunderhead Games. That was my second one that I wrote. I wrote with, when Dave Arneson was still alive, the co-creator of Dungeons & Dragons, I was the spectacles to his vision of what Blackmoor should be for 3rd edition and for D20. And I wrote the very first Blackmoor adventure in over 30 years and won numerous awards through the Ennies, through the Weird Game Rewards, through all sorts of awards way back when in the early 2000s. So that's me. That's just me. Yes, and I took an arrow to the knee. I've taken many, many arrows to the knee. Actually, I took a broken back last summer, which I've recovered from for the most part. So, now we're going to get into some of the questions. Oh, okay. So, look at it. See, we got some Blackmoor fans here. I'm a traditional game master, and I'm a traditional game designer, but I play hundreds of different role-playing games. I play everything from Rifts to GURPS to World of Darkness to D&D to Pathfinder, etc., 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 etc. I play just about everything that is out there. I've played it or run it in some way, shape, or form. There are a fair number of things I haven't. Like I haven't done, let's see, was it Stars with Numbers? I haven't done that one yet. Some of the more new ones I really haven't gotten into because I don't have a group really to play with except for online, which if there's not a Fantasy Grounds module for it or a rule set for it, I pretty much probably won't play it online at the moment. But I do play a lot of games. And so the idea that I'm a traditionalist and I play a lot of different games that have some great ideas to them, I like to mash 2 of those things together. And over the last few years, I've been a streamer. I have, yes, exactly, Riffs. I have answered questions. This September will be the 5th season of Legends and Lore, which is our Ask Us Anything, where we have themes and people ask us questions as game masters and game designers and such. And, well, thank you very much for that follow. So we try very, very hard to combine as many things together to make these games perfect. And that's where the Grim and the Wicked came from. The Grim and the Wicked comes from the idea that I've been gaming since the late 70s. I've been a game master since the very early 80s, and I haven't stopped. I played in high school, I played in college, I played after college, I played with my kids. I taught all my kids how to do these kinds of things. I've taught many, many people. I've been over to the Fantasy Grounds College. These guys know me very, very, very well. I do all sorts of stuff. And the Grim and the Wicked is a series of adventures that brings you from level 1 to level 20 with every tool in my arsenal. And it may look complicated, it may look on the outside, it may look very, very daunting and intimidating, but everything has been written and builds on something that we've done in a previous encounter. So that way you start off super dead simple, brand new game master, brand new players, never played, excuse me, never run before, never done any of those kinds of things before. You can do that with this game. You can start bare bones, never ever played before, just picked up the books for the very, very first time. And by the time you reach some of the later books, you will be such an expert game master that you will ruin your players. Your players will never play at another person's table as long as they live. They will be your players forever. This is just steeped in every piece of lore I could find, every little nuance. Being a game designer, you have to be a researcher on top of that, especially when you're writing for somebody else's game world. And I tried to make this as accessible to everybody as possible. Therefore, it utilizes the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition core rule set and its basic campaign. So it'd be Forgotten Realms is where this is located. And that is what we're doing right now. Yes, this is my magnum opus. This is my life's work. This is everything, 30 some odd years of gaming that I have done. I'm condensing down to 600 some odd pages and giving to people in this Kickstarter and in everything else here, in all of these modules. That is what this is about. Yes, exactly. Enslave your players. Make them your minions. This is what this is for. This is for you guys. I play. These are the kinds of games I play. These are the kinds of games I run. I'm giving you my table is what I'm doing. I'm giving you everything that I use, every little nuance, every little trick. This is something that I'm giving you. Yes, I am very, very passionate about this. It takes a lot. Okay, so you want the link to the Kickstarter? All right. Linking to the Kickstarter is easy. Just type !kick. Boom, right there. Now, it is expensive. The Kickstarter is expensive. It's $10,000 is what I'm asking for. 10,000 US at that. Why? Well, we have two people who signed on to help me out with this. The first is Derek Ruiz of Elven Tower Cartography. I can do my own maps. I can draw my own maps. As a matter of fact, you'll see a fair number of my maps inside the modules. But we needed to have somebody who was professional, somebody whose art style in cartography matched with the art style that's on our covers, matches with the art style that's inside the books. And to be honest, I'm a hobbyist when it comes to being a cartographer. I'm not a professional. And we needed a professional. So half the money is going right to Derek to do a ton of maps. Now, I suck, as many of you know, I suck at doing maps when it comes to outdoor maps. Absolutely horrible at it. Derek is going to do all that stuff. I am terrible at it. The other half of the money is going to Rick Hershey of Fat Goblin Games. Rick Hershey has agreed to be our layout designer. Now, Rick has been kicking around for a long time. He's a professional artist himself. He's a professional graphic designer. He's going to redo our logos. He's going to redo the title. He's going to redo how the covers look. He's going to do the interiors. He's making up borders and pages and all sorts of new artwork and graphic design work that is going to be going into this book or these books, and it's only going to be here. You'll never find this on drive through as a publisher download or any of the rest of those things. These are going to be specifically for us. So that's where the lion's share of the money is going. It's going to be going between those two guys. I also, as a stretch goal, I also have Storn Cook doing original NPC artwork, and a guy who's here on Twitch who goes by the name for Passion for Drawing. Both of them are going to be doing NPC artwork for us, and they will be doing some beautiful, beautiful stuff there. And we've talked to them, and we're really psyched about this. We're really going to be looking forward to the whole thing. Now, I don't suck at map making. I don't suck at it, but I'm not a professional. I can do some basics, but I am not a professional. Not anywhere close, guys. So I'm trying to be as nice to myself as I possibly can be. You're gonna find some old school maps inside this. We have a lot of old school maps. The old hash marked walls with that kind of like Dyson Logos style of map that I've done myself. They are not Dyson maps, they are my maps. And these are gorgeous, and I love it. Well, thank you very much, Tuff, for following. It's huge. I mean, I really am enjoying this. So, all right, now I've gone through all my little blurbs here and all my little spiels and such, and you guys have gotten to see some stuff rotate through on the screen about various things. Go ahead, you can start asking me questions now. Okay, what's the release date? All right, first thing, when's the release date? We're looking at a Christmas Eve release for the entire virtual box set. Now, why is it called a virtual box set? Because you get all 4 adventure books, you get 2 decks of cards, and any add-ons or stretch goals that go into it. They're all together. Now, if you're getting the printed version of it, the limited edition print, that limited edition print, which is expensive, granted, but you will get a physical box that has all the books printed out inside it, has decks of cards inside it, has a Game Master's screen that is specific for the Grim and the Wicked. It has, let's see, a poster map of a number of the mega dungeons. There's 3 mega dungeons in the thing. We have the Archivist's Tomb, we have the Shattered Path, and we have the Sepulchre of the Black Sun. There's going to be poster map for each of those. And there's going to be some other little bits and bobs that go in there as well. Like, for example, the Encounter Tracker is going to be in there in a printed format. Do you get dice? No, not in this one. You don't get dice. I have spoken with Paladin Games, who is a UK company that does dice, and we are talking about the possibility of something like that. Is there custom archetypes? There is 2 custom classes in there. There's a Sorcerer variant class and the Gunslinger class. Now, my patrons, who have been kicking around for a while, they have heard of both of these things, but they haven't seen them yet. The reason they haven't seen them yet is because I started working on Grim and the Wicked, which was initially just going to be a 64-page module, ended up being 600 and some odd pages, and I decided to include it there. I decided to include it with this, and I wanted to surprise people and get some extra stuff in there. Okay, the Kickstarter started already on July 31st. It started, and it ends on August 31st at midnight Eastern U.S. time. So that's the days. That's our time period. I will tell you now, I make this promise now. The first book is done. We're actually doing a dummy layout of it right now. Today, we were actually working on a dummy layout of it and looking over the maps and looking over the other artwork pieces that we had and all the rest of that kind of stuff. It's being laid out. So even if the Kickstarter does not fund Shadowfall, which is on your screen right now, Shadowfall will be coming out to DM's Guild sometime in late November, I do believe. So it's definitely coming. It's done. It's written. It's done. I've been running secret playtests. I have a whole group of playtesters. I have 50 playtesters, and that are publicly known as playtesters. I also have 2 groups of 8 each that are secret playtesters that nobody knew about. And I've been running the game with them because the part that we're in right now that the playtesters are receiving is so integral to the plot line. I've had to go through revisions of it. So that's what we're doing. I love the artwork too. I definitely love the artwork too. And for those of you who got to see the coloring contest, that's for Legends and Lore. That one is by Passion for Drawing, who will be our special guest on Legends and Lore on my birthday, September 5th, and our first episode of Season 5. So he's going to be there. We're going to be doing all sorts of wonderful things, and that's the style of artwork that we're using. It's kind of a cartoony style. Think of like kind of like a high-end Saturday morning cartoons from like the 80s, 90s period of time. That's the kind of style of artwork that I really enjoy. So, oh, thank you very much for that cheer. That's awesome. Thank you very much. And Matt, by the way, I missed your follow earlier, but thank you very much for your follow. All right, so who else has a question for me? Oh, somebody had a question earlier. I think it was Chris had a question earlier. Why is this called The Grim and the Wicked? Okay, well, without giving away too much of the plot line, because you guys are going to love the plot. The basic story is this. The player characters, when we first meet them, are going to Silvery Moon, which is in the north of the Forgotten Realms. And they are met by a worried father. Please go save my daughter. The Grim and the Wicked combines the idea of grim and gritty, Wild West, frontier-style gaming. So think Deadlands. Think GURPS Wild West. or Weird West. You know, for those of you who are old enough, think Amazing Stories, Boot Hill. Think that's that kind of genre right there. The nice grim and gritty, down and dirty kind of, you know, gunslinger action kind of flicks. So that's the grim side of that. The wicked side of that is, well, for those of you who have watched my Delver Society games or played my Delver Society games, I have a mean streak about 4 miles wide that goes right down my back. And game masters complain that you can't kill player characters in 5th edition. Well, you can, and you can do it really, really easily if you know how to use the rules properly. So I teach the game masters what those special nuances to the rules are, and there's the wicked. So the grim is the flavor, the wicked is the smile that the game master has behind the game master screen as he punishes the players and they come back for more. That's how it is. Yes, Drake. Yes, it is the Grim playtest you're in. This is the one. I have many of you who are definitely in that playtest. I have no issue if you want to say that you're in the playtest. But remember, you have signed a NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, to say what's in the playtest. So you can say you're there, and you can say you're having fun with it, and you can say that, oh my god, this is great. You can do that. Or, oh my god, this sucks. But I will say that we have had, let's see, out of the first playtest packet alone, which was only 20 some odd pages long that I handed out to people, out the first playtest packet, we've had 3 types of alcohol created that are named after various NPCs or for various things. And we've had over 300 pages of fan fiction created just off the opening scene of going from point A to point B. That should tell everybody who is here how this is working. And yes, there is more playtest coming. Matter of fact, my online playtesters, the ones who have signed NDAs that are sitting patiently waiting inside the in the Discord channel, waiting for me to release the next one. You guys are actually getting the alpha layout version of the entire Shadowfall is what you're getting as your next one, because I just couldn't let it go. I got a dog. I was like a dog with a bone. I just couldn't let it go. So, all right. Let's see. Kickstarter looks solid. I'm following. If I have spare cash soon, I'll add to the campaign. Well, thank you very much, Chris, for that. Thank you very, very much. All right, so this is your night, ladies and gents. You go ahead and ask me questions. Ask me questions about anything. Well, Grim and the Wicked, please. I mean, don't ask me what Susie's special website is. I'm not going to tell you. Oh, I'm sure you'll get into one. The people have been running it to death. So, you know, Alex, it's out there. It's out there. You guys can definitely get it in there, I'm sure. Yep. Yep. When are we going to get the next part of the playtest? You guys are getting the next part of the playtest once the this part of the layout's done. Yeah. All right. We're not going to talk about the special $4.95 a membership website for Susie Q. Okay, so what books are allowed to be used? Now, it's been written with the idea that the books that we utilize to play the game as players or game masters are only the core 3 books. That's what it's been written to utilize. However, it does contain information. It does contain links and information and the idea that you can utilize every official source from Dungeons and Dragons. So if it's been published by Wizards of the Coast, you can use it. So right up to the Mordenkainen stuff. There are things that you can utilize. Monsters, there's references to various things, and you can do anything. To be honest, it's up to you guys, and it's up to the players, and it's up to the game masters who run the game. I am not there to help you run the game. I'm there in spirit. I mean, you got the book open in front of you. I'm there in spirit, and I tell the game master little tips, little tricks, little things that they can, do to help make the game more interesting for everybody involved. Which I'll get into the a disclosure here in a moment, because there's actually a health warning that needs to go along with this this adventure series. Um, But if you want to utilize things like UA, if you want to utilize stuff that you find like on the homebrew websites, yes, I know I just said the horrible word. Um, if you want to utilize that stuff or other things you find at the DM's Guild or what have you, if you want to use those things, that's up to you guys. That's up to you as the game master and the players to sit down to say, you know what, I want to try this. But it's been written to be utilized with official sources only. That's what it's been written to use. So there's going to be some stuff, I'm sure. I mean, I'm never going to say you can't use this. Okay, I'm never one of those guys. Other than, you know, if it's super fucking broken, then I'm not going to say you can use it in my game, in my personal table, on my table, on your table. You rule. On my table, I kind of keep things a little bit basic, a little bit more solid, so everybody kind of has the same idea. So homebrew. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it. Yes. If somebody wants to use it, I mean, a fair number of people like to use it, so I don't mind. I haven't even looked at it. Oh, the UA version of the Warforged. Yeah, I've looked at that. That's it's there. No big deal. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much, Chris. That's very cool of you. Thank you very much. And you know, of course, everybody will know when more of it comes out. You guys will all be there for it. Okay, now the health disclosure. This is a big one. You see it when the tier 4 one rolls around. There's a health disclosure. And this is what it is. I had to write 2 separate endings to the adventure module because the original ending was so high energy and so high stress. People with heart conditions are not recommended to play that ending. I had to write an alternative ending for people to not die. I mean, not talking about characters not dying, but the players. I do not need a player to die of a heart attack or the game master to die of a heart attack from the last game session. So I made sure I wrote a secondary ending where you can hand wave some of the more intense things that happen and kind of, you know, get over that hump. Now, I kid in you all of my stuff. I kid and say if you're a hashtag safe spacer, that there is a safe space ending for you. But yes, this is it. This is it. There's a moment where you could, if you have a heart condition or any health issue for that matter, any kind of, you know, possible detrimental health issue, you could exacerbate it, and I apologize for that. So therefore, I did write an alternative ending. There is, people have asked me a couple of different times, but there is over 200 hours of gameplay in this campaign. It brings you from level 1 to level 20. It could probably even rocket you to level 20 even faster if you utilize experience points. I have set it up in there as milestones. So that way everything stays on a specific keel. We understand things happen along the way. It has your traditional 3 pillars of gaming. It has your exploration. It has your interaction. I mean, it has basic combat. It has advanced combat. It's got all sorts of wonderful things in there. But of course, we also have to do things like Scooby-Doo mysteries. Come on, who doesn't like Scooby-Doo? We have to have our Scooby-Doo, ruh-roh, Reggie, who did this? Kind of thing. We got to do that. We've got code breakers. Now, I know not everybody's a code breaker. I know not everybody likes to do that kind of thing, but it's in there. There's a little bit of something in here for everybody. There is, now, unfortunately for the virtual tabletop players, you guys are going to miss out on this little nuance, but later on, in the 3rd book, there is a way of taking a Jenga tower, you know, the block thing that you push shit through and it falls over and you're like, ah, crap, I got hit in the foot by some, you know, wooden blocks that are about ready to break my big toe. Yes, you can use that as a mini game and a way to solve a puzzle inside the tabletop game. So therefore, if you play on tabletop utilizing either the printed version or the PDF, this is the one you're going to want to have because you guys get to play with Jenga. Hey, what can I say? I like to have little shit on my table that people get to fuck around with. Yes, very Gygaxian. For those of you who know me and know me well, as I said before, I have worked with Gary Gygax. I've worked with Dave Arneson. Bob Bledsoe and I have spoken to each other about game design multiple times. If you don't know who Bob Bledsoe is, think, City State, the Invisible Overlord. Anybody? So Bob Bledsoe and, Flying Buffalo and way back when in the day, first fantasy campaign and the original Greyhawk, the original Blackmore. That's the kind of stuff that I'm in. I'm also into Jaquayan Dungeons, Paul Jaquay, for those of you who remember Paul Jaquay. Let's see, Ian Livingstone, that's the kind of stuff that I like. I love that stuff. Yes, OG Judges Guild. Yes, very, very much so. Will players lose limbs or other body parts? There is that possibility, and I know that you are, I know that you're definitely kind of there with that. Kind of there. So, but I've got all sorts of things. I love puzzles. I'm a big puzzle person, and I mean, Susie Q likes to do cryptoquotes. So we have cryptoquotes that are in there. We've got, let's see, lore that ties all the way back to first edition Forgotten Realms. We've got lore that ties into things like Elminster, Making of the Mage, Netheril. We go back into Forgotten Realms and we squeeze it for all it's worth, and we start just splooging it all over the character pages, and we bring it all the way to 4th edition as well. I mean, we have things like the War of Everlasting Darkness, that's in there. We have the Shadowfell, that's in there. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff. Yes, Faerun. We want ourselves some Faerun, some Forgotten Realms. Give us the good old-fashioned Ed Greenwood kick you in the balls style game. I loves me some good old-fashioned high fantasy gaming. So we got to do this. We got to do it. Not Blood War. Not Blood War. Blood War is an entirely different thing. That's more of a planar style thing. We're staying away from Blood War. But we're getting back there. We're getting back to AD&D, basic D&D, all that stuff. Oh, yeah. You guys are going to be going all the way across the top. You're going to go right across the top of the map. Zoop. Right across the top. You get to explore Silvery Moon, including the Mythal. I even wrote up rules for the Mythal. I looked up everything I could find from every edition that was ever printed, and I advanced it to 5th edition. There are some very basic ideas in SCAG, Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, on what a Mythal is and what it does, but it doesn't give you any hard and fast rules. I gave you hard and fast rules for it. I've given you hard and fast rules on how to corrupt it. And there's a part in the first module, the very first module. You're a 2nd level fucking character. Here you go. You're going to be stepping off into... I'm not going to say any more than that. But you get to do Silvery Moon. You get to do Sundabar. You get to do Dead Snows. You get to go through the Rovin Mountains. You get to go to the Nether Mountains. You get to do, oh God, Glitterwood. I mean, you get to go explore some spaces. Some spaces. Like the Sky Pony Stone. I mean, come on. Who else knows what's behind the Sky Pony Stone? Right? The Barbarian Stone that's kind of hidden there. It's a big standing menhir stone that has some runes and some glyphs painted on it. What the hell is that? Scholars have been asking for a while. Some of the wonderful places you guys get to go to are things like, the Herald's Holdfast. Herald's Holdfast, ladies and gents. How many of you have ever wanted to go there? We got maps for it. We got ways to go there. So let's do it. Nope, we're staying away from the Dale Lands for the time being. Yep, we're staying away from those. The Dale Lands are too far south. So we're hitting this. We're going to be throwing this down. Right up there across the north of the map. We are going to be somewhere between the ass-cold high ice and the high moors. Right there. That little stretch. Right across there. No Dale Lands this time around. You know what? If The Grim and the Wicked takes off and it's a fantastic thing, maybe I might write a sequel. Another big virtual box set sequel. So maybe. We'll see. We'll see. All right. So who else has questions? Go ahead. Please be sure to ask them over there in chat. While you're doing that, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. and I'll post the Kickstarter link again. Technically, it starts in Waterdeep. So what I was going to do as part of the Kickstarter campaign and as a stretch goal, there is now, for those of you who have played the playtest, the name of the following thing is going to be actually pretty funny for you. There's a Session 0 adventure. I was going to do a 16-page mini adventure called a Session 0, which means this is what happens before the campaign starts, kind of thing. This is how the players got together. This is how they met the first NPC they travel with, and all the rest of that kind of stuff. And this Session 0 is called Morty and the Mule. Okay, for those of you who have played the playtest or have started playing the playtest, you know what Morty and the Mule means. So you guys should be giggling a little bit to yourselves about that one. Tons of new weapons and armor and magic items and stuff like that. Tons of it. You know what, FGC? I will be happy to take a look at it at some point in time in the future. But let's make sure it's after November when I do it. That way your stuff doesn't influence my stuff, and we don't have to worry about any possible cross-contamination. So what else we got? Got tons and tons of people here today. This is awesome. Like group sex. Well, I guess there could be. I mean, I'm not gonna write it in there, but it's a traditional fantasy game. I'm not gonna write that kind of stuff in there. Well, Tebow, they're all asking me questions. They all got all sorts of questions. Which, by the way, ladies and gents, just to let you know, I don't have my regular Twitch stuff open. So if you're whispering me messages, I won't see them. They don't pop up for me. Any plans for Candlekeep? Remembering back into the Baldur's Gate old video games. So this is how the game starts off. And Morty and the Mule covers a lot of this stuff, but if there's no Kickstarter and we don't get that far, then Morty and the Mule may not ever see the light of day. The player characters typically start off in Waterdeep, but they also go to Baldur's Gate and Yartar. So there's those 3 cities are included in Morty and the Mule. A couple of small encounters, a couple of role-playing things that happen in each of those places, and which are hand waved, by the way, at the beginning of Shadowfall. They're absolutely hand waved. They're taken care of in a paragraph. Whereas if we reach the stretch goal to have Morty and the Mule be an actual adventure item, it'll be a full 16-page adventure that has a couple of things in it that'll bring you to each of those locations. So that way you could have players from all over the Sword Coast. The high dollar is the $500 one. It's the very, 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 very last one down at the bottom of the page. That's the big one. That's the big one. Now, people are like, why does that cost $500? People have asked me this a couple of times. I think I've only had maybe 1 or 2 people go ahead and do that one for me. But others have asked me, why the hell is that so expensive? It's only 4 books and all the rest of this kind of stuff. Number 1, it takes care of your shipping. The shipping is insane for each one of these box sets. Number 2, each one of these box sets is hand numbered and everything is signed. It's all autographed. Number 3, it's all printed by me. I'm not here at home. I mean, I get it professionally bound. They're all perfect bound books. And the game crafter is doing all the printing options for all the additional pieces. It comes with a tokens sheet that has all the NPCs and monsters that are created specifically for this campaign. They're all done as tokens that you can punch right out and put onto things. There's a number of extras. I have to say extras at the moment. I can't tell you what they are yet because they're a part of actually the first, second book, maybe, that are used. There is, once again, there's the big Game Master screen that's in there. There's a ton of stuff. So all in all, when I priced all this stuff out, it is over $400 to print all of these things for for each individual one of them. It's over $400 to do that and ship it. Comes to something like $492 or something like that. It's really expensive, so therefore that's why I'm doing it. Yes, yes, you'll get a cardboard cutout of me. That would work. Have I ever used GameCrafter before? I have used them. I utilize them for prototyping a lot. Matter of fact, after the Kickstarter's over, we'll start doing our prototyping and getting all of our print layout stuff done for that. What happens to the planned Twitch game if the funding is not met? I will still run the Twitch game. I will still run the Twitch game. My patrons will have first dibs at that point. And they'll fill out the spots, but I will also talk to the specific people who ordered the Twitch game. So, like, for example, Fizz, if you're one of the people who says, hey, look, I would really like to go in on the Twitch game for this, then I will message you and say, hey, do you still want a spot? Because I'm going to fill it up with patrons. I'm going to fill it up with Susie Q. I'm going to fill it up with this. Fill it up with that. I mean, there's only 5 spots because the 6th spot is Susie. And typically people know that I run my games with 6 players. So that's how I work. So that's what we'll do, is I'll make sure that you guys can do it. But that's just what happens. Susie Q is standing off screen. For those of you who don't know, Susie Q is more than just the pretty face and the huge tits in my stream. She's more than just the angry little barbarian that pees on everything or bites things. She is the business manager for GeoQuester Gaming. She is the head behind the numbers. I'm just the creative slave. She cracks the whip, tells me what needs to be done. I try to get it done as much as I possibly can. And that's what we do. And so she's off screen telling me what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there. So that's what's going on there. Now, as I said, yes, I have used GameCrafter for individual items just so I can see how, yes, she's the taskmaster. Our mistress. Task mistress is what she is. But I have used GameCrafter to make my prototype stuff and to make sure things fit in a box properly and all the rest of that kind of stuff. By the way, the box is that big. Here, I'll put it next to my face. That big. Okay, we're talking, go pull out one of your 2nd edition box sets, like Return to Undermountain. There we go. Since that one's just coming out again in 5th edition, take out Return to Undermountain. This is twice that thick, is what it is. The box set is twice that thick. So how did Susie let you spend $492 to make 500? You mean, how did Susie let me make $8? That's basically how that one works. We agreed to it. We agreed to it. Yep. The old Undermountain box sets. Yeah, it's about twice. Yeah, if you put Undermountain 1 and 2 together, the old box sets, if you put the 2 of them together, give or take, that's about the same size as the box set from the Kickstarter. Yep, we got the Shadowfall deck. Okay, so this is what comes in, once again, in the actual physical box set. Okay, so here, let me finish my cigarette first, and then I'll tell you. All right, so this is, we'll say, absolutely bare. Absolutely bare bones. All right, we don't reach any stretch goals of any kind, so therefore there's no additional cards or any of the rest of that stuff. This is absolute bare bones for the print edition. You get 4 164-page books. That is the adventure. You get a certificate of authenticity, which is autographed by me and hand-numbered by myself and Susie Q, with a special thank you card that goes into your box set. You get a full art box set, as in the box itself has art. It is one of those double sticky boxes that goes top and bottom. You get a Game Master screen, which is a tri-fold Game Master screen, the back side of which, or the front side that faces the characters, or that faces the players, the artwork there is by Storn Cook. It wraps around the outside. Storn Cook, once again, is the same guy who's done all the module artwork as well. He's done the covers for each one of the modules. You get the 30 card Shadowfall deck. You get the 64 card Chase deck. You get the Encounter Tracker, which is actually broken up into 2 different pieces. There's a player piece and a game master piece. Those of you who have run it, the playtest, understand what I'm talking about when it comes to the Encounter Tracker. I'm not going to share it on screen or anything else. Just, it's a really cool tool that you guys get to use. You will get, I think it's 3 sheets of punch-out tokens of various monsters and other things that you can utilize on your table. And and that's that. That's what you get there. So, do we get a GeoQuester mask so we can roleplay as you? No. No, you don't. That's a little creepy. It's a little creepy. It's like, I want to wear your skin. I want to be close to you. Let me wear your skin. No, no, no Deadpool, you know, stapling a Wolverine to your face kind of thing. No, that just doesn't work for me. Now, you want to know where you can buy this? You can get it on Kickstarter. The print edition is Kickstarter exclusive. It will never be on DM's Guild. It'll never be anyplace else. It'll only be in Kickstarter. There we go. So there's the Kickstarter link once again for you. Yes, yes. 656 pages, levels 1 to 20. Boom. All the way through. Full thing. Boom. All the way through. So, now, I've been speaking to a couple of people, specifically Laren over at Fantasy Grounds College. And if you haven't gotten to see Fantasy Grounds College yet, definitely type in FGC, or one of my mods can do it, or Laren can do it, because I know he's here in chat. If you've yet to do it, go over there, check them out. They'll teach you how to use Fantasy Grounds. Now, this Kickstarter supports Fantasy Grounds, 100%. It's 100% supported. To the point where if you order the virtual Fantasy Grounds box set, I talked to Laren, I don't know, what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before we decided to go live with the AMA. I'm also making, if we're funded, this is if we're funded, I'll put this into, for a Kickstarter exclusive, and for a Fantasy Grounds College exclusive as well. So people who are at Fantasy Grounds College, just let me know that you purchased something and you know, later on or whatever after the Kickstarter, and this will be sent to you as well. But this is a Kickstarter exclusive. I'm going to also make a Grim and the Wicked theme for Fantasy Grounds. So the whole table will have a specific theme, and it's all just that one theme. So Laren and I talked about it earlier. All the buttons are going to have a theme. The text is going to be all one theme. Everything is going to be like that. It's going to be gorgeous. You guys are going to love it. Actually, I've already been working on it. It's something that I kind of liked to begin with, and I had thought about it for quite some time, about making my own theme for Grim and the Wicked. And, well, the playtesters will be able to grab a hold of it here very soon and go ahead and play with it themselves very soon. Very soon. We'll see. Probably about the same time, probably that Friday after I bring Alex to college is about the same time, which University of Buffalo. That's where he's going to be. But that's an exclusive for our Fantasy Grounds people. It's going to be that. So what other kinds of things do we have going on here? All right, let's see. Building empires. Building empires is a lot of fun. I'll tell you that. Very, very much fun. Now, all right, so we've had this conversation during Legends and Lore. We've had this conversation during various other things. Like, for example, I've been a special guest at the FGC. I've been a special guest on Rob Tui's stream. On Dave the Digital Dungeon Master, I've been a special guest on his streams. We've talked about all sorts of things like world building around a character. We've talked about all that kind of stuff. Empire building is what we like to call it, empire building. And there is a little bit of that in Grim and the Wicked as well. We've also talked about things like how do we get video game players, so MMO players, to come from MMOs, come back to the table. We got to bring them back. And one of the best ways of doing it, I mean, we may, as tabletop players, may not like MMOs. We may say, oh, MMOs, oh my God, they're such a waste of time. You know, I like to be creative instead. They still have some good stuff there. They still have some really good stuff that you can utilize on a tabletop. Don't forget, MMOs came from tabletops. They got everything from D&D and some of the original games. But all we're doing now is just taking it back, reutilizing it, putting new wheels on it, and calling it ours. That's what we're doing. So that's what we're going to do with it this time around. So let's see. How about henchmen and keeps? Yep, henchmen and keeps will be there. Yep, definitely. So what are my most influential additions that go into Grim and the Wicked? Let me see. Well, for those of you who read it, if you're a game master and you read it, it looks like a 4th edition game or a D&D Next style game, the way it's laid out. It's laid out in such a way that every single encounter, every single location is all done in a very formulaic style. There's a setup. There's, what do we need here? What are the features of this room? What is this? What is this? What is this? What's the tactics? What treasures do I have? And they're always done in the same order. So that way, when you read one encounter to the next encounter, you know what you're looking for, where you're looking for it. And if the entry isn't there, that means that that specific thing isn't there. Everything is there. All the rules are there. They're done in such little itty bitty, bits. Once again, this is written at a high level of experience, a lot of years of experience, a lot of hundreds of thousands of hours of gaming experience are going into this. But I can't write it for the person who's a master. I have to write it for a person who's never played before or run a game before. And they have to be able to look at these things and understand them without a shadow of a doubt when they first look at it. Just a glance. Game masters need to be able to glance at something and then just move on. They got to do it as quickly as they possibly can. It is kind of a Delver's hybrid. There is actually, believe it or not, I actually have a couple of encounters in there that are timed encounters where you break out your stopwatch. It goes click, click. We need our stopwatch out so we can see what happens here. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff. Lots of that stuff. Yep, I'm doing my own FG. I'm doing my own FG. I like Rob. Rob and I have been friends for 3.5, 4 years. I like Rob very, very much. He's a very busy guy. Right now, he's actually up north at, well, I don't remember. He's in some convention. And he's a very busy guy. He works on Fantasy Grounds modules constantly. This module would break him. He's never seen it before. He's not a part of the playtest because he didn't want to be a part of the playtest. Yeah, he's at Spokon. He didn't want to be a part of the playtest because he wanted to see it for the first time himself, kind of thing, like the same time everybody else gets to see it. He wanted to be surprised. He wanted to, have that nice, punch in the face. He wants, somebody else to run it for him first. And when he does modules, he has to read the module and, read the adventure that he's doing. And he didn't want to ruin it for himself. And I didn't want to ruin it for him. And there's some stuff in there that is so complicated that you have to understand how to utilize Fantasy Grounds in a specific way. And I don't want to make him pull out the rest of his hair that way. It's a complicated way to program Fantasy Grounds with other things. And I know he doesn't want to do that. And I don't want to throw it at him. So I'm doing it myself. I hope he can avoid Concrud too. Now let me see if I missed anything else here. Did I miss anything else? Yep. 2nd edition is a good one. Yep. Yeah, but I've brought back, I've talked about this on my Discord. I've talked about this in Legends and Lore. I've talked about it just randomly during streams, like my dungeon design streams and stuff. I missed the days of 2nd edition where we had the insta-kills. Save or dies. I miss those. But 5th edition does have ways of doing that. Well within the rule set, they have a number of things that do those things. So we're utilizing that. The most difficult part of this entire thing is, honestly, as I said, finding the funding so I can get the layout done, so I can get the artwork finished, and all the rest of that. I need that in order to move forward. Otherwise, we're going to be dragging Grim and the Wicked, which will be out no matter what. If it doesn't fund on Kickstarter, it will still be out. 100%. But it'll just take a year versus taking a few months. So I would like to have the box set in everybody's hands on Christmas Eve. But if I don't get funded, then it won't be out all at one shot. It'll be little itsy bitsy bits at a time. And we don't want people waiting and all the rest of that kind of stuff. Okay, anyway, to touch on or segue your Grim and Wicked campaign into the newer upcoming settings for D&D5e. Grim and the Wicked will work with some work, okay? It will work with every single game world, including your own custom game world, except for maybe Dark Sun. That's about the only one it probably won't work for, because Dark Zone is so alien as far as the D&D worlds go. If you have a high fantasy world, it'll work. So if you want to play this in Eberron, just change a few location names. The plot line still works. The maps will still, for the most part, work. I mean, some of the city maps may not work, but for the most part, everything else will work just fine. And you could play it in Eberron. You could play it in whatever one it is for Magic the Gathering that's coming out. You could play it in that. You could play it in Ravenloft if you really, really wanted to and really wanted to screw people's heads. You could play it in Ravenloft. You could play it in, go classic, go Greyhawk. You could play it in all those kinds of things without much of a change at all. Just basically changes in names. Yep, you can get from level 1 to level 20, and each one of the books is broken down by tier. I utilize tiers instead of basically just levels. As you can see on the screen, it says at the moment, it says T1 levels 1 through 4, T2 levels 5 through 10. That means tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. It goes along with the same thing as Adventures League. It goes along with the stuff that's in the DMG on tiers and how power levels work. So all those kinds of things are there. I've included notes inside all the modules on when you get downtime, how much downtime you get before the next piece comes up on you. Extra things like side quests, random encounter tables that aren't quite so random, special color tables. So you're not always getting a combat encounter. You're not always getting this or getting that. I mean, you could walk down the street and a little girl could come running up to the biggest person in your party and give him a flower and say, hey, make love, not war. We have, believe it or not, now I have a Legends and Lore coming up in September that talks more about this topic, but I'll talk about specifically how this affects Grim and the Wicked. We have a number of characters in NPCs in Grim and the Wicked that cover the gender spectrum that people talk about. Susie and I sat down, we discussed it. As people know, I am not really one of those people who really give a rat's ass about people's spectrum. It's gaming, and gaming is gaming is gaming. However, we've had a number of alternative lifestyle people in our Discord who requested that I add some NPCs so that way they could have some color and some fun themselves. And so I did. I've made additional, alternative lifestyle NPCs to go along with it. So you could get an absolutely amazing bard who walks up to you and talks to you on the street, or you could get the warrior that's like a big ogre that, tries to beat you over the head with a mushroom. I mean, all sorts of weirdness. All sorts of weirdness. Any plans to expand into the epic levels? You know what? Yes, there is plans to expand into epic levels. And that's what I'm going to say. How's that sound? That's all I can say on that one. That's what I'm going to say there. So, okay, just a thought. Since FG Unity base is trying to be completed, when you create the maps, have you thought about making the 3D maps so you could be one of the first full campaigns in Unity? I have actually got an entirely different kind of map there, Diablo, specifically for Unity. How about moving maps? Maps that move and morph and do all sorts of wonderful things as the players are on them. That can only be utilized in the Unity version of Fantasy Grounds. Of course, I've just mentioned it about 3 times, and now that means I've pushed it back another 9 months. But there it is. That's what I did. I've made special maps specifically for the Unity version. Yes. Which, by the way, if there are other virtual tabletop programs out there, you don't necessarily have to be only a Fantasy Grounds user. Okay, there we go. I've also created these maps for these other games as well. If they can utilize a specific kind of file type, then you can utilize these file types and have it living maps for yourselves. So that's a very difficult thing to do, by the way. It is not something that I really am advertising yet, because if something happens and I don't want to include those maps because they look ridiculous, then I don't want to say it's here, but I do have them. I have them. They're available, but I just don't know if I want to release them yet. It all depends. Do I have Derek Ruiz of Elven Tower Cartography working with me, or do I have to do them myself? We'll see. We'll see. Maps that will destroy your internet connection as you push it to the players at the same time. Yep, that's right. But if you're utilizing something that's a web base or some such thing where you can host them off-site, then you should be able to utilize these maps. So if you're using something like Google Hangouts or something to play your game, you should be able to do it relative ease. With the idea that this is being sold on the DM's Guild, no, we cannot convert it to Pathfinder 2.0. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. Will you have a Hall of Honors for those characters that are able to survive to level 20 in your module? I thought about this. I thought about doing that. But there's no way to know if a game master or a player is telling the truth on whether or not they survived. So I can't do it. I would like to. I would like to have a Hall of Honor for people who have completed the whole thing. I would love that, but I can't. I can't do it. I don't think so. I don't think so. That's just more work for me. I don't need to have that much work. Let me see. Other things. Oh, we touched on something just a minute ago. Oh, okay. Here we go. So there is a couple opportunities for players in one of these modules that they get to play something else. They get to play a magic item. So the players go around in a specific location. They have to find some magic-y things in this location. And when they get to a certain point, an event is triggered. Once again, this all utilizes the encounter tracker. So therefore, it's very, very simple for the game master to keep track of everything. And they get to play as a magic item. Yeah. Yeah. You'll love it. You'll love it. Unless they play with me, maybe. Maybe. We'll see. Is there content for after people get to 20? Officially published? Not quite yet. There is stuff, yes. I mean, you can still play after you hit level 20. But there is third-party stuff you can utilize, which is not really too bad. The third-party stuff is actually pretty darn good for the epic levels, and I like it a lot. I definitely like it a lot. So, who has any additional? Wow, we've been chit-chatting for over an hour. I'm kind of surprised that this has gone as long as it has, and we got quite a few viewers. Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for coming by. And go ahead, keep those questions firing about Grim and the Wicked and my Kickstarter campaign. Matter of fact, hey, let us take a quick gander at it, shall we? Let's pop over to Kickstarter real quick. Take a look at it, shall we? Let me see here. Ooh, 20 backers. I got 20 backers, and I'm just over 20%, just about 21% right now. That's nice. We've gone up 3% since I started my stream. That's awesome. Thank you, everybody, very, very much for that. That really makes me feel good. Sorry you had to refresh after I asked before. Oh, did you? Okay, what did you ask, Diablo? And I will try to get that back in here. Should it just jump again? Oh. Where? I'll tell you right now. Okay, so this is my very first Kickstarter. I have never done a Kickstarter before. I mean, I've funded Kickstarters in the past. You know, I've done stuff like, you know, the Demon Plague and stuff by John Four and James Introcaso. You know, I love doing that kind of stuff. You know, I was on Rob Tui's you know, Krusty Comedy Club thing that he had. You know, I was on all those kinds of things, but I've never made one really myself. Ooh, we're at 22% now, ladies and gents. Woohoo! Thank you so very much. Oh, it's about the epics. Okay, good. So yeah, so I've never really done them, and I was warned that an eraser. I'll get to yours here in a second. I was warned that when you start a Kickstarter, you're gonna stare at it 200 times a day. Yeah, you do. You stare at that motherfucker over and over and over again. Every time you get a free second, you look at it. And then you start staring at it like crazy. And it's addicting. It's like crazy addicting. And yeah, you just lose everything. I was on vacation when we launched the project, and I launched it accidentally a day early. And yeah, actually it was about 12 hours early is what I launched it. And because I hit the wrong button. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing when it comes to that thing. I'm figuring it out as I go. Let me tell you, you got more than enough spam mail from people who say, pay me money to make sure your thing goes. It's ridiculous. All right, so let me take a look here. What is the Shadowfall deck anyway? Is it just location or important person cards for handouts? Or will there be a mechanic like the Pursuit deck? There is lots of mechanics. Matter of fact, breaking out the Shadowfall deck, your players will learn to sweat as soon as they see that dark back of the card that says Shadowfall deck across the back of it. If they see that pop out, if your players don't go running screaming out of the room saying that they have a dentist appointment at 8 a.m. the next day and that they can't complete playing that day so that way they can avoid getting a card, then I didn't write those cards evil enough. That's what that's for. You want to make sure that they get screwed to a wall. Will we recognize any of the NPCs? Yes, you might recognize a few of the NPCs. Yes, indeed. It's not a deck of many things. It is not a deck of many things. I'll tell you that. It is not that. It is better than that. These are special things that players can do during a specific event, actually, which happens multiple times throughout it. So, for example, if you want to play this game and you want to buy it piecemeal, if you buy part 3, so the third part of this, which is called Allies No More, if you buy that part, but you don't play any of the rest of them, the Shadowfall deck comes with part 1. You'll need to buy Shadowfall in order to get the deck to utilize in the third book as well. That's just the way it goes. This is meant to be played together. There is ways to tie it into a regular campaign. I will put out a special document that goes along with the virtual box set to wrap it into a campaign, so that way if players are already playing games, like for example they're playing the new Waterdeep, Waterdeep Heist or whatever it is, then they can just go ahead and move right on into this if they wanted to. But for the most part, you're supposed to play from 1 to 20. You're supposed to play them pretty much back to back. And if your players, I'll tell you right now, once you start reading it, you'll want people to make fresh characters just specifically for this, because it's a lot of fun. Yes, the Shadowfall deck, along with the Chase deck and all the rest of those kinds of things, are tools for the DM. And they're beautiful tools. They're absolutely beautiful tools. And you guys are going to love them. You guys are going to love them. I swear to you. Kill your PCs and start them fresh. Actually, believe it or not, you could probably do a fair amount of LMOP, a fair amount, before you move on. I think you could. And because I utilize milestones in Grim and the Wicked instead of just giving straight experience points, which you can do either if you really want to. But I utilize milestones to make sure everything is ranked in a specific way. Everything has a right power level. I will tell you that it works just fine. I mean, if the players are a little bit overpowered at the beginning, then they're overpowered. As some of the playtesters who are here in chat can tell you, that being overpowered for the first couple of encounters means absolutely nothing. Because power level, you could be, you know, level 19, you're really not going to have any difference in the play style of the level 1 encounters that you do at level 19. Tebow's played it, Drage has played it, Jorg has played it. I know a few others here have all played it, and they all say the same thing. I mean, the way it's run and the way it works, exactly. It doesn't matter what your level is, and it's written specifically for that idea that people may be bringing something in from someplace else. Motherfucking puzzles. Well, there's no puzzles. There's no puzzles in the first opening encounters. There's no opening encounter puzzles, but there is little bits and bobs, little things, just little things. So, and hi, Fate. How you doing, Fate? Long time no see. And I love puzzles. So I try to include at least one type of puzzle per book, at least one. So there might be more, there might be less. It all depends. Ooh, I'm getting messages and stuff like that, which I can't really answer right at the moment. Sweet. Well, thank you very much for those of you who are popping into the Patreon as well. Thank you very much for that. I miss you too, Fate. I really, really miss you. But it is summertime, and summertime sucks ass because we're busy. So busy. But as I said, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to answer all of your questions about Grim and the Wicked. If the project does not fund, this is let me say this once again. If the project does not fund, the virtual box set does not fund, I will still be producing the first one to come out in November versus the December date. If I have to do all the maps myself, if I have to do all the layout myself, if I have to do all the rest of that kind of stuff myself, that's absolutely fine. And we'll try to raise money utilizing Shadowfall as the basis to move forward to keep funding the next one and the next one and the next one. And we'll keep doing that. Yes, I have made them harder and harder and harder. But I make sure that they're not that terrible. Not that terrible. And I give everybody plenty of clues. It's just not my fault. People don't understand what the clues are. You have to be able to kind of read between the lines in some of these things. So, but once again, when you write something for the masses, okay, it's one thing when I write something specifically for my table, like for Tebow and for Susie Q and for Rob and the rest of those guys. It's one thing when I write something for them. It's something entirely different when I write something for the masses. You have to write to the greatest common denominator. That denominator, that lowest common denominator, I'm sorry, is usually a person who's never played before, a younger person, you know, somebody who's under the age of 18, who's never run a game before, that kind of stuff. You have to write for those people and for groups that are full of people like that. You have to write that way. Doesn't mean you can't make it more sophisticated as it goes on, but you need to lead them by the hand to bring them in that direction so they can understand it and get into the story and such. And the story is, as I've always mentioned on all of my streams, the story and the player's ability to have fun is key. It's more important than every rule that's available to you. It's more important than what I write down on the page. What's the most important thing here is the fact that the players and the game master are having fun with the game, telling a story, and enjoying themselves as they sit around. I do not expect anybody to finish this game in a year. To be honest with you, I don't, because that would be some hardcore gaming right there. I mean, that's some major hardcore gaming. I don't expect anybody to be that hardcore. Even I'm not that hardcore, and I'm writing the fucking thing. So, but that's what it is. Once again, this will be available on DM's Guild. That's where it's going to be fulfilled through. Since I utilize Forgotten Realms, I have to go through them. And this Kickstarter is not for, it's not basically pre-release stuff. It's not saying, here, you're buying a copy of it before it's released because I want to sell it and get a full price or something. No, this is 100% just to be able to afford artwork, maps, layout, and the other little nuts and bolts, and have it all work together. I don't want this to be just some sort of, cob job. I got a bunch of publisher resources and I'm going to throw them all together and this is what I got. That's not the way this is going to work. I want this to be beautiful. This is my magnum opus. This is my 30 some, almost 40 some years of gaming experience thrown together, put together, crafted, honed, banged with a hammer, from multiple different rule sets, and fit into fifth edition. And the Lego blocks started falling together and created this massive thing, and I love it. I absolutely love it, and I think all of you are going to really adore it as well. Exactly, exactly. So, now, does anybody else have any questions, comments, or concerns for me? We have a Twitter campaign going. It's on the bottom of the Kickstarter page. We have a Facebook campaign going. That's at the bottom of the page as well. And we have a Twitch campaign going. Each one of those has their own, we call those social media milestones. Those awards also, if you're a relatively inexpensive person, if you're only doing like the $10 one or whatever, you can get some of the freebies that are there. You can help unlock some of the additional things for modules and such by sharing, by tweeting things out. Go out there, go forth and multiply. Get as many people in on this as you possibly can get. Excuse me. So definitely Lego, my Grim and the Wigget. Yes, yes, Lego. Yes, and the health warning. Yes, and we have the health warning, which is the final, the penultimate, battle at the end. Actually, has been written in two ways. There's Type A and Type B. Type A has a health warning to it. If you have a heart condition, you're not allowed to play this one because it could kill you as a player, not as your character, but as your player. It could kill you. We don't want that. Also, people who have PTSD, this could also trigger PTSD in you. So I'm trying to make sure that it's not too hardcore for you. And then the type B is for those who are under the age of 18, those who need safe spaces, those who have health conditions and don't want to die. That's what the secondary one is. So we got to make sure that that goes. And God said, go forth and populate the four corners of the earth and make sure all of them have purchased a Kickstarter version of Grim and the Wicked. Yep, yep. How do we get our names included if we bought in at that level? I don't see a place to add that info. Um, after everything is funded, there'll be an end survey that has rewards and stuff to it, and I'll be sending that out. I think it's about 2 weeks after it is done, if it is funded. If it is 100% funded, then I will be sending that stuff out 2 weeks after. And at that point, then everybody gets their stuff. They start getting things like playtest packets. They start getting their little itty bitty bits and bobs. If they get to the point where we're handing out copies of the not really complete tome of spells, we'll hand that out to people. That's when all that happens. About 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks after the Kickstarter is over. That's typically how long it takes. Yep, safe spaces. Safe spaces. I'm not a big fan of safe spaces. Well, believe it or not, Adventurers Guild, there are a lot of people who have come into gaming that are subscribe to that stuff. I'm an older guy. I don't really subscribe to those things. I'm kind of an aggressive person. I have aggressive personalities. I'll go more into this. Susie Q and I will go more into this in a later episode of Legends and Lore. I don't really want to be too insulting, but we have a Legends and Lore coming up in September, which is called Snowflake Gaming, and where we talk about SJWs in gaming and how they've changed the landscape of gaming, and how as a game designer and as a game master I actually have to be paying attention to these things. So we have an entire episode devoted to that. It's another AMA, so people can write in, ask us questions anytime. Yeah, older too. Most people are. Most people are. I have PTSD and DID, but even though it's heavily impacted my life, D&D helps me. Yes. Believe it or not, Dungeons and Dragons is actually one of the best ways to deal with traumatic psychological and emotional experiences. It allows you to constructively utilize your aggression or fear and give it a creative outlet in such a way that you're able to put it under a microscope and examine it yourself. Psychologists use this on a regular basis, a version of this, and there have been multiple studies done that tabletop role-playing gamers are amongst some of the most psychologically well-adjusted human beings on the planet, because they're able to live out fantasies by utilizing dice and paper and stuff on a weekly basis or whatever. So it's actually perfectly well for them. I do mention the fact that people with PTSD may not want to play the A version of the ending of the game only because of how graphic it may be. And it may trigger a few things in you. This is not a trigger warning. I don't believe in those things. But I do believe that there are people out there who have specific kinds of PTSD and health concerns that high stress situations may exacerbate. So I make sure that I have an alternative style to help people with that. Yeah, it supports folks a lot, which is amazing. I really, really like it. You're right. So there's a lot of territory that safe space covers also. Yeah, there's a lot of territory that it covers. Tons of it. Absolutely tons of it. So, all right. So, ladies and gents, we've been streaming now for about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half ish. I'll take any last minute questions here. I'll take questions for another 3 or 4 minutes, so till 25 after the hour. At that point, I'll start doing wrap up, and if nobody else has any more questions, then that'll be fine too. I have no issue with that. I think I've pretty much answered everything for everybody. Now, while we're doing that, let me pop over back over to Kickstarter again. Yes, you can add your favorite characters as NPCs if you get to that level. Definitely. Definitely. Yes, we are on for Thursday's Out of the Abyss. Yes, this Thursday we will be playing Out of the Abyss. Tomorrow and Tuesday, I'm not going to be available to play games or run games or even look at my Kickstarter because I'm going to be playing Battle for Azeroth because the WoW expansion starts tomorrow. So I'm going to be playing that instead. I need some time to relax. All right, let me see here. Whoa, we are at just over. Huh, got something on my screen. We are just shy. Oh, we're just over 1/4. We're at the 25% mark. Nice, sweet, very cool. And I've got some messages over here as well. Let's see if I can answer some of them. Okay. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, I understand. Okay, that's not a problem. Now I have had questions about if somebody's a private person or somebody doesn't want their name to be mentioned, their real name. They want to have an online name or a pseudonym added to the book instead of their real name. When I send out your backer kits and send out your backer surveys, I will ask you what name you want to have added to the book, either as a patron or as a backer or what have you, playtester, whatever. I will ask you what name you wish to have added. That way we have everything taken care of. I don't want anybody to feel out of place. I know that there are people who have specific religious observances that they don't want their name to be added to, like a Dungeons and Dragons thing. I know people are closet D&D players and don't want their families or friends or coworkers or bosses to know that they play Dungeons and Dragons and have their name out there. Or people who belong to other companies and don't want to be known as a backer for some like a competitor's product. So I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely cool with that. and I will make sure that I send that out and do my best to not have. You want her High Empress Furied Fate. Sweet cheeks, you ain't getting it. Adventurers Guild wants her High Empress Furied Fate as well, so we can't have everybody be named the same thing. Casket D&D players? So they're really, really, really into Curse of Strahd. Yes, yes, yes. I meant closet, but if I probably did say casket. I mean, it's just kind of a Freudian slip of my part, I guess. But yeah, there you go. But all right, so it is now 25 after. I didn't have any additional questions over there. Let me give a little quick one over here. Yeah, we're gonna do more. We're going to do more AMAs. I will definitely tell you that. We are going to be doing some more AMAs. Next time around, we will also include one of our artists is going to be joining us. And Susie Q will probably be joining us next time. I will post in my Discord channel. Yeah, I'll post in my Discord channel the next time we're going to do an AMA. I'll also post over as an update on the Kickstarter that we're doing an AMA there. And we'll see. We'll see what else we have going on. I can't say anything more than that at the moment. Maybe next time I'll bring some additional artwork, maybe some maps, and we'll see what else we got going on. So... Are you getting into any of the big D&D streams to pimp my product? No, unfortunately, I am not on any of the big D&D streams. I wish I was. Ooh, thanks, Fate, for that big cheer. That was awesome. And by the way, thanks to everybody who's been throwing cheers at me tonight. This is amazing. Thank you very much for all the support you guys have been giving me. Susie Q and I have, honestly, as we stare at the Kickstarter not moving and stuff like that day after day, we get a little bit down over it. It kind of definitely hits us in the feels when we see all the support that you guys have been giving us. We're very appreciative of it. Our future AMAs may be on Twitch, they may be on Facebook. We may do them on YouTube. We may do them on Kickstarter Live. We may try to, if I figure it out, since my new computer can handle it, maybe I'll try to do all of them at the same time. I don't know. So, stop watching the pot boil? Yeah, right. Try that. I dare it. That doesn't work. Yeah, this thing does have to go through. I really, really, really want it to go through. I think you guys and girls are going to find it amazing. You guys are going to love it. So next time I do an AMA, which I think will be probably next Sunday, I think. I'll have Susie Q with me. I'll have maybe one of the artists. Maybe I might even have Rick Hershey with me, who's going to be doing the layout. And we'll all get talking about this stuff, and we'll sit down and we'll have a little bit of a conversation, kind of like an L&L style, a little bit of Legends and Lore style, and we'll get there. So if you have any additional questions, definitely be sure to pop over into our Discord channel. If you want to go ahead and support us, please, by all means, go over to Kickstarter and support us. We really appreciate it. Susie Q and myself both appreciate it. Everything you guys do for us on a monthly, weekly, daily basis. You guys are awesome. And I guess that's it for tonight. Ask questions over in Discord. You can throw them over in the Legends and Lore category for the time being. So if you have any questions, be sure to throw them there. And otherwise, I'll see you guys all next Sunday. I'll have Susie Q with me and at least maybe one or two other people with me. So take care, everybody. Have a great night. Treat each other very well. Bye-bye.